What's up everybody? Today I'm going to start working on fixing my pretty rough desk setup. I just got a new PC, so I figure now's a good time to start modding my desk. The main issues I have is I just don't have enough space to move my mouse around. I keep bumping into everything, and working and editing videos is kind of annoying right now. The monitors I have are a little low and my posture is starting to get pretty bad, so I figured the best way to fix that is to build a nice monitor shelf. I have some leftover cherry from my last project, and I think that's going to be perfect for this build. I built my girlfriend this shelf a few months ago for plants and books and stuff, and I really liked how that turned out, so I'm kind of going to take some inspiration from that project for this shelf. I'm going to go with a sort of slatted table design, and it really only needs to lift the monitors up a few inches. This piece of cherry is actually too big to send through the joiner I have access to. I'm going to do the trick where you glue something flat to the board and just send it through the planer that way. I feel kind of bad cutting up a giant wide piece of cherry like this to make a relatively small shelf. But I don't really want to have to go back and buy more wood at the lumber yard right now, so this is what I'm working with. I'm actually going to have to slice the board in half and resaw it, so I can basically get two boards out of it, but that shouldn't be a problem, and I'm going to have a good bit of wood left over for whatever else I want to make down the road. The planer honestly was struggling a little bit. I think mainly because this board's just 12.5 inches wide, and that's a pretty big piece to plane all at once. I also think the blades might have been a little dull, so I probably should have worked on switching those out, but it'll work for now. I'm going to come back with a hand plane later on and make sure everything's really nice and flat. I'm making all the crossbars and feet on the CNC. That's what I did on the last project, and it just ensured everything was square and fit together really nice and tight, and just saved me a lot of time and headache. I also am just cleaning up the feet a little bit on the router there, and I'm going to come back and add a round over to them a little later on. This cherry did have a little bit of a warp to it, which I was worried about. I think mainly it's because I just cut it out of an 8/4 board and I didn't really give it any time to rest and adjust. So it kind of bowed a little bit as I worked it. It's not a huge problem, and hopefully once everything's glued up, it'll be fine. Every time I make something like this, it's super satisfying to get it all fit together and it actually works, and I didn't screw anything up. From that last shelf I built, I realized I could just save a lot of time by pre-sanding everything before I glue it all up. There's still a lot of cracks I'll have to come back and sand, but I think I cut my sanding time probably in half, even though this shelf is twice as big as the other one. Okay, so I just finished the glue up, and I ran into one problem. I thought I was being smart staggering these pieces to kind of like keep it from warping so bad, but I realized that these are off by a good bit actually. So these two line up and this one lines up, but these two don't. But what I'm going to do to fix it is, instead of having a strip that's 1 inch like the rest of these, I'm going to do a strip that's 2.5 like this. So it'll kind of create like some sort of plus in the middle, which I think it'll look good. It honestly might be a happy accident. It might kind of help up break the shelf and how it looks. So I'm going to run back to the maker space and I'm going to make some cuts and fix it, so that's what it's like. I'm just going to make some dado cuts on the table saw to widen up that groove. Recently, I've been starting to get better at realizing not everything is faster on the CNC. A lot of the times it actually takes longer to 3D model something and program it and then square your piece up and set it up and make sure it runs right. A lot of the times it's just faster to do it the old-fashioned way. It's a nice realization that sometimes the nice fancy machine actually ends up taking a lot longer. Now I'm using my trusty old Japanese hand plane to flatten out these pieces, and you can actually see how uneven they were coming off the CNC. I didn't even realize it was this bad, but I'm glad I hit it with the hand plane because it would have been super noticeable on the finished thing. I put my favorite 1/8 inch round over on the top of this shelf, and now I'm going to route out the mortises, I guess you call that a mortise, for the feet to fit into. So it kind of has a joint and it's going to be plenty strong. I also really need to get a plunge router because I'm having to do this with a trim router and it's kind of sketchy. But it works. The router just really isn't happy about it. This is also pretty sketchy, I'll admit. I want to round over these feet before I glue everything up so I can dry fit it, but the feet are pretty tiny, so I'm just being really careful not to send my fingers into the router bit. I really like the look when a stretcher kind of flows into the legs or feet. It's a little bit trickier to do, but I think it looks really nice. I'm going to use a dowel jig here to put some dowels in to add some strength to this piece. Like I said, I don't think it's going to add a ton of strength, but it'll definitely be strong and it's going to look real nice. As you can hear, the fit is really nice and tight, so I'm happy about that. I'm kind of surprised I didn't have issues with that, but I guess I'm just getting good at this stuff. Now I'm going to glue these feet together on this piece of MDF. That's just going to make sure everything's flat and square. And then I can come in and add the rest of the roundovers, and it won't be quite so sketchy this time. I'm also going to say I kind of want to do a whole series about modding a desk. Maybe I'll finish with making a really cool standing desk. But let me know what you think about that in the comments, or if you have any cool ideas for things I could make for my desk. Like I said, right now my setup's kind of wonky, and so I really want to work on having a nice setup. I want to get some better peripherals, but at the same time I'm crashing at my parents' house, so I got to work with what I got, but I think I can definitely have a nice setup that I can take with me once I move out. You might be wondering right now why there's only one leg in the middle instead of two like on each side, and that's because I want my keyboard and mouse to be able to slide under this so it gives me even more space and I'm not really bumping into anything. The leg in the middle will kind of help keep the shelf from sagging and keep everything level, especially with the weight of the monitors and anything else I want to put on there. But I'm worried it might look a little weird when I'm done with only one foot in the middle, but that's kind of what I'm working with. Like I said earlier, this shelf has a little bit of a bow in it, and it's kind of bowing in the wrong direction. So I'm going to add what I'll call a micro apron under there that's kind of bowed in the other direction to hopefully mitigate like the sagging of the shelf. I don't think it's going to do a ton, but it might help a little. It'll add another 1/2 inch of thickness to this, and that definitely can't hurt. It also will kind of help lock everything in, so I don't think it's a bad thing, but we'll see how much it actually helps. I'm checking how flat it is here, and I actually kind of really like how it looks on the floor too. So in the future, if I move or don't like it on my desk, I can always put it somewhere else and maybe put some plants on it or something like that. So it's nice to know it's sort of multi-purpose. Now I'm kind of down to my last little bit of finish here. I'm using the Odie's Oil Dark finish for this because I think it looks really nice on cherry. But I need a restock finish soon. I think I might buy some Rubio Monocoat because I really like that stuff too. Odie's Oil is great, but Rubio is also pretty awesome. I think I'll probably do 2 coats so it has a little bit of a gloss to it and is a little bit more protective if I set like a glass on it by accident or something like that. And my hands kind of started cramping up here because there's a lot of cracks I have to work the finish into. And like on the other shelf I made, I really like how the like finger joints, half tenons fit through and look on the ends. I think these little legs and stretchers are my favorite part of this. I really like kind of making tiny furniture and making it kind of nicer than it needs to be. Like this could basically just be a board, but why not make it fancy and as nice as it can be? And there you have it. I really like how it turned out now. I was worried at first it was a little too tall. It's only 4 inches tall, but 4 inches is huge apparently. So it took a little getting used to, but I really like it now. It's just a little extreme with this 32-inch monitor. Eventually, I think I really want to have some monitor arms and maybe even matching monitors, but that's kind of out of the budget for now. But under here, I have so much space and I can zoom my mouse around for days, which is exactly what I wanted. The only problem is like on the keyboard, hitting the F keys. Sometimes I bump into the bottom of the shelf with my fingers, but I can just pull my keyboard forward a little bit and it's not a big deal. Like I said, I really would like to do a whole series about making an awesome workstation. So let me know if you have any ideas in the comments. I'd love to hear them. I really want to build like a giant standing desk that's crazy. So if you'd like to see that, subscribe and let me know what you think. But that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.